In the past, I've spoken about how LEGO has a price problem, and I made this video nearly 6 months ago, as it was the first video I ever made on YouTube. Why don't we revisit this problem and see if it's still occurring? Spoiler alert, it kind of is. Now, this price problem isn't just something that's affecting me over here in Australia, but affecting countries all across the world. But in this video, I'm going to be comparing a number of LEGO sets, all released in 2024, and comparing their prices to figure out what is going wrong here. So back in my original video, I looked at the recently released at the time, large-scale R2-D2 for the 25th anniversary of LEGO Star Wars with the exclusive Darth Malak figure. So looking at this set in the US, where a majority of my viewers are from, this set retails for $100 US, which for 1,050 pieces isn't actually that bad of a price as far as LEGO Star Wars goes. Whereas if we compare this set to its price here in Australia in a different currency called AUD, Australian dollars, this set is $200. So this creates the question of what should the currency conversion actually be. If we take a look at the current exchange rate between Australia and the United States, one United States dollar is equal to $1 Australian dollar and 45 cents. Therefore, in a perfectly equal world, a set that retails for $100 US should in theory cost 145 Australian. Now, Australia is a country that is right down the bottom of the world and quite possibly as far away as possible from a lot of LEGO's European and South American factories. Plus, other items such as phones and electronics are often slightly more expensive here in Australia too. So I can understand a $100 US set costing something like $150 here in Australia. Plus, another major factor is taxes. Here in Australia, our taxes are inbuilt with the price of a good or a service called the Goods and Services Tax, compared to over in the United States, where that tax gets added on later on. So I think it is kind of fair to use 1.5 as our currency converter, as even though it's a little higher than 1.45, which the currency conversion rate is, this takes into account some of those additional fees. However, as I said before, the large-scale 25th anniversary R2-D2 is $200. Literally 100% more when it should be closer to 50% more. So obviously this isn't great, as it means Australians are getting screwed out of some serious money here, about $50, that we could obviously all use to buy more LEGO. However, now let's take a look at a different set, and I'll show you how this price problem arises. Let's take a look at the Creative Play Droid Builder Kit. A pretty crappy set to be honest, but one that would be fun to build with some friends. If only I had any. Subscribe. Anyway, this set once again retails in the US for $100, exactly the same price as that large-scale R2-D2. However, in Australia, this set is just $170. Still more expensive than our exchange rate of 1.5 suggests that it should be, but the set is still $30 cheaper here in Australia than it is than the R2-D2. Whereas in the US, these two sets are priced identically. So before I get into talking exactly why this may be the case, I want to take a look at some more examples to show you just how messed up this is. The 2024 minifigure compatible Star Destroyer and the Dark Millennium Falcon are both $300 here in Australia, both being large play-scale LEGO Star Wars sets. Whereas in the US, the Star Destroyer is $160 and the Falcon is $180. So if we take that US price and multiply it by 1.5 to get our best expected Australian price, then the Star Destroyer should be $240 and the Falcon should be $270. So both these sets are still priced higher than they should be over here in Australia, but for some reason we have to pay exactly the same price for both these sets, whereas in the US you get the Star Destroyer for $20 cheaper. So these are some great examples of how Australia's pricing is much higher, and how sets can be the same price in one region whereas they're totally different in another. But now let's look at a set from another theme, Ninjago. Now, Ninjago isn't a licensed theme, so many LEGO fans speculate that because of this, LEGO doesn't need to offset their licensing cost in their sets, which can explain why Ninjago sets may be seen as better value compared to a lot of Star Wars or other licensed sets such as Marvel or DC. So let's take a look at this Ninjago set, which retailed in March of this year. This is Aaron's Ninja Off-Road Buggy Car. Firstly, I'm not sure why they decided to give it that giant of a name, but anyway, this set retails in the US for $50, which is quite a lot of money for the size and the piece count of this set. So we've already established that sets in Australia are more expensive, so I can't wait to see just how insanely overpriced this one's going to be. Well, in AUD, Australian dollars, this set comes in at a whopping $60. Yes, the set is just $60 in Australia. So if we multiply our US price of $50 by 1.5, which was our currency conversion rate, to get a perfectly equal price, the set should be $75 here in Australia. Yet it's not, it's actually only $60. Therefore, when you compare the two prices, it is actually cheaper here in Australia than it is in the US. If we take the inverse of our conversion rate, and instead of taking $1 we take $1 AUD, we find that $1 AUD is equal to 69 US cents. Therefore, if we multiply the Australian price of $60 by 0.69, we end up with a US price of $41.47, showing that yes, the set is essentially $10 cheaper here in Australia. It's really quite bizarre. So I know what you're probably thinking, maybe it's just that licensed sets in Australia are maybe more expensive than in the US, whereas non-licensed sets are cheaper in Australia. Well, let me just prove that completely incorrect for you now. Let's look at Kai's Climber Mech, a $70 US set. So we take our currency conversion multiplier of 1.5 and see that the set should be about $105 here. Well no, the set in Australia is $120. Chuck on an extra $15. Again, what does this mean? What conclusions can we draw from this to try and figure out why this has happened and why it is still continuing to happen months after my first ever video? Ultimately, what I discussed was the idea at how different sets, themes, and characters are all seen differently in different regions, and this may come into play. Take for example something like Monkey Kid, a theme that is designed to sell in China, and it isn't even stocked in the rest of the world other than on lego.com. Lego has numerous executives and salespeople that go out to find the best price points for their sets in any given region or given market. Something someone noted previously too was that the price of larger sets seem to be much higher in Australia compared to smaller sets that are more similar in price or slightly cheaper. This may be due to the increased cost of shipments to Australia, as the bigger a set is, the more space and the more weight it takes up, therefore making it cost more to ship. This is a great example of something why sets and other products are more expensive usually over here in Australia. Overall though, this is again a really weird phenomenon, and I'm super interested to see what prices sets come out with next year and whether they follow a similar pattern or are seemingly randomly priced like a lot of what we've looked at today. Obviously, we have only looked at a really small percentage of sets, and I can't go through hundreds and hundreds of sets just in the one video, but I hope that you have been given somewhat of a decent explanation as to how this price problem operates. Also, just a quick thing, don't buy your Lego directly from the Lego website or Lego stores, unless it is an exclusive or it's a gift with purchase that you really want. Obviously I can't tell you what to do, but buying at stores such as Target or Kmart or other third-party retailers can be so much more beneficial, and the sets are way more discounted than Lego's VIP program, or Insiders that they're calling it now. If you went on to enjoy this video though, please leave a like and subscribe, and a massive thank you to everyone for all the support on the channel since I made it in just February of this year. It's been so much fun to make these videos, and I will keep on doing that. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.